Starting. All right. All right, welcome to our next session, and we are always lucky to have Kurtz here from Israel. It's a longtime contributor and speaker. It's always wonderful to see her, and she's here with us to talk about remote learning and training in Israel in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, evidence from the field. So we'll get some really fascinating perspectives on what things are like. So on that, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll be here if you need me.
Thank you very much, David, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Eden, for your help. I see that we have, I would like to know, where are you from? Christoph, Irene, Paris, Rachel. I'm from Israel. Just interesting to know, where are you from? Let's write into the chat. And okay, New York. Okay, Rachel, I do hope that next year I will meet you. Oh, Germany, Alabama. South of Boston. Oh, good. I do hope that next year we will meet in New York. So without further ado, let's start. I will share my screen, and just feel free whenever you want just to jump and ask question or remark or whatever you see. Just a minute. Okay. So this is my talk, and I will talk about Israel, about our insights from the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's, if you hear my sound like our insights, and actually Israeli is really unique in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I will show you in a minute. The outline of my talk is 3 parts. In the introduction, after the short introduction, I will outline the gains and losses from the COVID-19 pandemic here in Israel. And in the final part, the 3rd part, I will share with you the trends that we currently see in Israel, and maybe you will share your insights. So just one word about me. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Instructional Technologies in HIT in Israel. And actually this is, we have a BA, bachelor degree, and master. We are applied academic, and you see all these pictures of corporate. Actually, our students work closely with the corporate, and after they finish their studies, they are very much wanted in the field of e-learning experts, or web designers, or digital experts, and so forth. We have 500 students in both programs. So this is about me, and I really invested time in this talk, and I liked it very much. So I read all these materials. All these materials are on Israel, like 30 reports, 25 research papers, and I was also a co-author with 10 papers, and many discussions and talk. And also we had one international conference on learning and development last week. And by the way, I don't see the chat now. So if Idan, if there's any question in the chat, please let me know, because I'm in full screen. So let's go. Okay, I told you that Israel is unique, and please see here the statistic. Israel is in the 1st place of countries with the highest rate of COVID-19 vaccination. And actually, as from yesterday, masks are not required. So we are kind of back to normal, and it's kind of strange. This morning, I went to the coffee shop, and I'm used to go with the mask and say, okay, can I have a coffee, and just without any mask? So I hope it will be soon in your place. So this is an important fact, because when I touch the 3rd part of my talk, I will elaborate on the consequences of this fact. Okay. So my talk will be on higher education, also corporate learning. I know they are different, very different, but they had the same challenge, as they faced the same challenge of the greatest disruptor in over the century. They were forced to flip the switch in a minute and to move to remote learning and training for an infinite period of time. As for now, it's for a year and a half, and now it's ending. So this is kind of what's the same thing within the higher education and also the corporate learning. I will illustrate one main gain from the COVID-19 pandemic and one main loss, and I will elaborate on it. But before we start, actually, what happened with this pandemic? We are used to live kind of in a puzzle, life of a puzzle, like everything fits everything. And so we are kind of equilibrium. What happened with the pandemic that it disappeared? There's no puzzle that we can, you know, share and feel connected. And we have to think, what can we do with it? So looking back at the year and a half, we see the first gain, the main gain, which is space and time are not exclusive conditions for teaching and learning. We have the class, but we also can teach and learn from a cafe, from a house, from everything. Yes, we could have done it before, but the pandemic really put it in front. And I will elaborate and give another insight to support this main gain. But we have main loss. And before I say maybe, I will stop and just, what do you think is the main loss in Israel? Maybe it's in your place. What is the main loss from the pandemic? You can write it in the chat. So before I share with you, it took me a while to understand that this is the main loss. Okay, I'll wait a second in the chat. Okay. I don't see. Oh, one. Okay. Yeah. Physical interaction, and the physical interaction really caused to something that I will share with you now. Thank you, Paris. And again, I don't see the chat now. So if someone wrote, I can't see it. So yes, decreased sense of belonging. Actually, you're alone. You're alone. So I will elaborate about the gain and the losses, and I will start with the gain. What happened when space and time are not exclusive condition? No more barriers to use digital means of learning. You can say, but it was before. Yeah, you're right. But now what happened is that no barriers. We are in everyone. I don't know if you're familiar with Rogers' theory about diffusion of innovation. So now everybody is accepting it. So because there's no choice, but no more barriers for the digital means of learning and openness to digital learning. I don't know how about you, but hearing all this CEOs saying that digital learning is the best in this time, which is really, I know that a year ago, before the pandemic, they said, no, we need to have face-to-face. So openness and smashing barriers, these is gains that support the space and time that are not exclusive conditions. The third one, we see all kinds of creative pedagogies and tools using like Mentimeter, Kahoot, all the things that were not before. And creative pedagogies, I just read a paper about Zoom fatigue, like how do you handle this? And I think also in the conference, so a lot of pedagogic, new creative pedagogies that need to go beyond space and time. And this is really good. Well, convenience. And I'm sure you understand it, like you're in your home, you teach, learn, train, and you can do whatever you want. There's no time for the traffic. You don't have to go, traffic jam and so forth. So this is when looking at Israel, what happened, these are the main gains. Before I move to the loss, I will just let you have a look at this, and then I'll move to the main loss. It's more than digital literacy. It's readiness. Even if you have the mobile phone, even if you have the computer, knowing how to use this, how to use it. What does it mean that you are learning in a digital environment? And this
I'm
is
sorry to interrupt for 1 second. I think we've lost we didn't get your slides back, I think, when we came back from the chat.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
Yes, and sorry. Okay, now, yeah. Okay, so I'm okay.
They're
Now
back.
yeah.
Perfect. They're back. Okay. So sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I moved to the losses, and as I said, the digital readiness or the digital literacy that students and trainers that were not used to the online learning or teaching, and they don't understand sometimes what does it mean to work together in the digital environment. So this is something that we saw especially in with minorities and older workers or students. This was a huge problem. Less engagement. Less engagement. You're sitting here. You don't feel that you're inside. We're not in the same space. So it's kind of, you feel like you are less engaged in this session, and we see it a lot. And it causes another thing. An issue. We have a huge problem with integrity of online exams. And we have other ethical issues. And before, I want to show you, this is a paper I read for this presentation. Students report on dishonesty within online exams. And the main problem, or something that we need to worry, they don't see it as cheating. And this is something really bothering. And we see it as time goes by, it's still, if you do online exam from remotely, we see students, more and more students report on teaching and cheating. So this is really a huge problem. And the fourth one, as I said, convenience, we are at home, but actually you're living in your work, school, there are no boundaries between the two, and this is hectic and tiring. So this is something that we see that workers and students report on it. So what are we looking now that we see that the COVID-19 is on its way out in Israel, hopefully? We want our puzzle back, aren't we? We want to feel like we are okay. Every piece is in its side. I don't think this will happen. I think that what will happen is something more of like this. We will have to connect the dots, because we will have to find a connection. It's not will be so stable. And I see it in this way, and less as a whole puzzle. Before I move to the, or highlight the main insight for the future, I would like to mention Yuval Noah Harari. He's one of the famous Israeli historians. And he said in March 2020, he said that the storm will pass, but the choices we make now would change our lives for years to come. And here we see in Israel that actually in the higher education, they have no choice. And I'm sorry you will not understand unless you understand Hebrew. This is a message arrived from the Council of Higher Education, actually saying that all academic will go back to be fully campus-based. So there's no lesson learned in terms of the COVID. So we are bringing back the students, and I'm glad that my president allowed my faculty to use other models, but actually Israel is coming back to face-to-face. This is not the same in the corporate. So they are kind of different in their respect of the response to the pandemic. So what's next? We're talking about new normal. I don't know if there's new normal. I know that there is new now. For example, we have a summer term. And so we decided that we will meet 3 times in the campus. I don't know. No, I can't say. I'm not sure what will happen next year. So we don't know. We're living just right now, and there's no normal. And I'm borrowing the term of the blend of chaos and order by the former CEO of Visa Credit Card Association. He said that we have a blend of chaos and order, and we have to get used to live with this. I'm sure you're familiar with the buzzword saying, let's do blended learning. What does it mean? What is the reason? There are a lot of options, and blended learning, does it mean blending the technologies, blending the virtual and face-to-face? There are huge questions, especially in K-12, which is not my topic here, but we have a lot of questions. What does it mean blending? And can we blend? And following this, this is discussion about what does it mean to learn? What's the essence of learning? Do we need to be in a special place on a specific time for learning? What does it mean to know now that we have the technology? And actually, the discussion on the essence of learning and also other things, the pandemic just moved it forward. It was before, but now we're talking, what does it mean to learn? Is it the old way or a new way? Another insight is that when you choose technology, actually you're choosing a strategy. What does it mean? Technology is not neutral. If you use Zoom or you use LMS, you use different strategy of teaching and learning. And now we understand it much more closely. Another understanding is that we need to use the technology plus the data because it will give us more accurate learning, personalized learning, more answering for the demands of our students or our workers. We see a lot of rise of artificial intelligence. Again, this technology is here to stay, but we see that we can use it for personalized and more kind of specific teaching and learning, just-in-time training. And comparing to AI, we see technologies that are in use are quick, simple, and flexible. And less, I was in Ilona's keynote, and she talked about artificial intelligence and the use of the glasses. We see in Israel that it's less. More we use kind of simple QR codes, augmented reality, and less the sexy, heavy technologies. These really items are also, again, it's not just because of the corona, but also we see it more and more coming to Israel for the next years. Video is not just the king, it's also the queen. Video content, specific one, of course, the MOOCs really moved it forward, but we talk about chunking of video for micro-learning, a lot of use of it for asynchronous mode or for a blended learning, meaning like you watch the video and come to class for discussion. We understand that interaction is the key component for learning and training. And another thing that technology allowed us, the team and peer learning is also essential, not just the instructor, but also the workers and the students. I will move to, we have like in 5 minutes. This is I think my last slides, and then I hope we'll have kind of discussion. Last week we had the 8th Israeli L&D conference. We had Donald Taylor as a keynote, and he has a survey that takes the pulse of the L&D community worldwide. It's a 1-minute outline question asking about what they think will be the hot technology in the following year. His presentation was about Israel and comparing Israel to other countries. So what is interesting in his results, and I'm sorry you can't read it, but I just want to say that we see different approach between the countries. For example, in Israel, we believe that next year, reskilling, upskilling will be #1, the same as the other word, but micro-learning is in the 2nd place and in Israel and only in the 7th place in the world. So it's going to be not the same trends between all the countries, and it's really very interesting. He also found in Israel difference between the workplace, corporate learning, which shows very much support for reskilling and upskilling due to the corona. And for non-workplace, it means academic, more support for AI, micro-learning, and learning analytics. I think that by that, I had a lot of information gave you, and I will stop here and open for discussion. I understand that there's no audio with the participants. Oh yeah, so Carla, I'm sorry, yeah, I didn't see your note about this. Yes, to interact with people. Yeah.
Yeah, we can allow anyone to talk and the participants if you want. So
Yeah,
participants
please,
prefer to talk,
please, I would
especially
like
in a smaller group. Please go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead. I would like to hear about your place and what you think about Israel, and maybe, hey, Carla.
We're going to allow everybody to talk.
Hey, Deborah, Christopher, please. Okay. Thank you.
Want to talk? Please feel free. And if you want to, just stay muted if you're not going to talk. So. Great. Well, no, thanks so much for the presentation. I'm curious. I'm also curious to hear your thoughts on Dawn's survey and Israel. Like, how much the results do you think are sort of the way people view the terms, right? Like, micro learning is a funny one to me because it means so many different things to so many different people. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to, obviously just a guess, and I think Dawn would probably just be guessing too. But like, is it really more popular in Israel, or is it really that it's just sort of perceived in a different way, and the definition is maybe different here? Like, it's in a lot of ways gotten a bad rap here, and not necessarily incorrectly, that it's sort of, the idea is, well, everything, if it just needs to be smaller, and that's obviously not good design and not the right thing. So there are a lot of American companies where you hear micro-learning and, you've had some backlash for appropriate reasons, but maybe that's just, that might affect the survey results, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, we have to understand the people who answer the survey are professional. So I thought it's kind of a buzz also, but actually I can be honest with you that next year we will give a course, academic course about micro-learning. So it seems like it's something that really inside the academic and also inside the corporate. It's not just buzz. Yeah. Thank you, Erwin. Thank you very much for your kind words. I'm very much open for maybe joint work together. Thank you. Thank you about the puzzle. Thank you. Oh, I will tell, this is my assistant did it. So I'm gonna share your remark with her. She will love it. Yeah, I'm just did a print screen of this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do hope we will meet next year in New York. And I hope so. And I will be very much happy to be connected with you. So.
It'll be great to have you back in New York next year. I'm trying to think there are other questions from people and other things that we might want to talk about. Yeah, just sort of what, how the new normal is. Yeah. Yeah, no,
yeah, me too, Christoph. Yeah. You're in Germany, I think. We're in Germany because I have a lot of connection in Germany. Also, I work with Ilona, the keynote.
Oh yeah, I'm located at the very south in Tübingen, close to Stuttgart.
Okay, good. So yeah, we have a close connection also with Oldenburg University.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks very much for your talk. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Have you seen connected sort of differences between what you're seeing in Israel and what you're seeing in some of the the countries where you have partners? Or is it too early to tell?
It's too early to say. And again,
Yeah.
in terms of the corona, Israel is moving faster.
Yeah, you're so far ahead, yeah.
So we hope we will not go back. But I think you're also on the way to be kind of freeing mask and go back to work and live.
Yeah, no, it's a different world. People here in New York I mean, some people are back to the office and, it's still not that many yet, but some are, and restrictions keep getting lifted. So there's no question. Yeah, no, it's different. But in terms of, the expectations here are, in terms of what people, how they'll work and how they'll learn, are people really, a lot of offices, are people ever going to go back full time? Is it going to be kind of more of a mixed situation? And, it's interesting to see sort of as companies switch, no matter what, sort of migrate from the immediate post-pandemic, right? Like post-pandemic that, people were just trying to get something out and done, right? So, you went from one day they were doing things that were more in person to the next day, all of a sudden it's I guess it's on Zoom, because what else are you going to do? You're not going to, there are a lot of really cool learning environments you can build for certain things, but you're not going to be able to do that in 6 hours or, 2 days. So, how people now, with maybe a little bit more time to look ahead, react will be interesting, to see what people take away from the experience in terms of what you can do digitally, what people take away in terms of, hopefully not overreacting, and, a lot of things that just aren't really meant for, there's a lot more to online learning than, than classes that just happen to be in Zoom, right? And that's,
I agree with you, but sadly I said that the academic is going back to the campus without learning what happened, and we're taking the advantage of online learning. The corporate world, we see that trying maybe once a week to twice a week, or you come to work for a reason. You have face-to-face meetings. Otherwise, if you come to work on your computer, there's no use to come back. So, so it's really interesting. It's really interesting. It's so I'm happy to be working this period of time of the corona.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting time, and at least it's also an optimistic time once again. What's funny also, because the comment about that you just made about the companies thinking, if you're not coming to work to have face-to-face meetings, then why bother? Which I think is a common philosophy. And to me, it's almost the opposite, right? Like I feel like what you get most out of being in an office, and this is coming from a company that's rarely in the office, even in normal times, is the informal interactions. Right.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And the same is often true of the conferences. Like it's wonderful to see people's talks in person. I really enjoy it, but so much comes from the break times that we get together, the dinner that you get together, the time when, you and I see each other in the hallway and we stop and we talk for 10 minutes and that kind of thing. And that's, so much more of it. And you lose that when you're not in person, I think, more than you lose the other things, to me.
I think, and also we are used to it. And we had this conference talked about, so all the presenters, except Donald Taylor, they came to our studios. So we were 30 people together talking. It's feeling like normal. I can tell you, I miss so much the human, and I'm very much used with the technology, and I love technology, but nothing can replace the face-to-face. And by saying that, I think that as human, we need the contact. So I hope we will go back there soon.
Seems like we're heading in a good direction. So at least it's an encouraging time.
Yeah.
Looking forward to next year being, to being back in person in New York next year. Certainly, we're hoping so.
Hope so too.
Well, anything else? We're probably just about at the end of the time, and we have a bit of a break, a little bit longer break today till 1:30. So wonderful to see you. We'll see you next year in person. And
thank you, everyone. Thank you, Idan, for your help. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. We'll see you back at 1:30. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.